Welcome back to another episode of Torque. So today we're working on my in-laws 1965 Mustang convertible. We just got it back from being dipped. It leaves a slick surface on the metal itself, so we have to rough that up, and then we have to also get it in epoxy. We're going to try and get those things done on this episode. I'll also show you a couple products that I used during the process. So let's head out to the barn and get to work. Well, we got the Mustang back from being dipped, and they only neutralize the acid to remove everything. They don't actually etch the metal. So we have to scuff up the metal so that epoxy is going to adhere really well. I'm using anything I can. It doesn't matter, wire wheel, Scotch-Brite, whatever I can to scratch this metal up. I've got most of it done. I've got the whole interior done. I've got the engine compartment all done. I still need to do the underside. You can see some of the way the acid was kind of sitting on the bottom. So I'm going to scuff up as much as I can. Some of the stuff is going to be replaced so I don't have to do everything. So let's go ahead and get back to work and get this thing ready for epoxy. I started cleaning up the bottom of this and found that there are too many corners, too many angles on this. So I decided to go ahead and go a different route. So I'm going to go ahead and I've been using this fast etch. I've used them before. It's pretty good product from Eastwood. But I will tell you that if you're going heavy rust, it's going to take quite a bit more. You can see like this spot right here. This stuff has been on for about 45 minutes. You can see that this is a stainless brush. It's going to take more than a half an hour, what it says on the bottle, and it does say if it's heavier rust. I can keep on doing this and it just take it off in layers, and eventually it'll come down to the bare metal. I will show you just how quickly this stuff works, especially for just surface rust. So you can see this little area right here. If I spray this stuff on, you can see it starts to work immediately, and it will start pulling that stuff off really quick for just surface rust. You can see it's eating in at the in between on the seam. So the stuff works really good. I'm going to go ahead and finish this. I'm going to wipe it down with either their pre-prep, and I believe you can use acetone as well. I do have some degreaser I may try and use also. You don't want to leave this stuff on because it leaves almost like a coat on there, and if you were to prime over the top of it, it's not going to adhere very well. So make sure you get that excess off, you wipe it down, and it'll be ready to go for paint. So I got the whole bottom sprayed with the acid etch. You can actually see it actually came out pretty good. But wiped it down once. There's a couple other spots I have to wipe down. There's some spots, these are all getting replaced. You can see some of these pieces. So I'm not going to get into depth on trying to etch these things. There's the torque box, it needs to be replaced. And there's the inner rocker. That's going to be a lot of fun to try and get out. So I'll wipe it down one more time. We'll take it into the paint booth, and we're going to get some epoxy on this. We've got the car in the paint booth, ready for some epoxy. I am going to use black epoxy. Normally I use gray. The reason why I'm using black is because there's so many enclosed areas, like in this vent area, the cowl area. There's some box sections that I'll have a wand sprayer. I'll be able to get in there and spray black. So might as well have gotten black. I can always switch over to gray at a later time. So we're all ready to shoot. Let's get this thing in some epoxy. All right, so I mixed up about a half gallon epoxy. Wasn't even close to what I needed. I did get the engine compartment done, got a little bit of the dash. I'm not doing the quarters because I'm replacing those. And I did do the trunk area, except for the wheelhouses. I'm gonna replace those. I did get the bottom of the car. I will have to put a second coat on all this The black really makes it stand out where you have some corrosion holes. You can see it plain as day. So I mixed up 4 more quarts and a whole nother gallon. Hopefully that's enough. My fear is I'm going to end up using both of these gallons, and I'm going to have to order some more just for a later point. So we're waiting for the stuff to induce. You have to let it induce for 30 minutes after you mix the epoxy, and then we'll get spraying again. We got the body out of the paint booth. We got the 2 coats of black epoxy on there. Just getting it ready, got it in position to start doing some metal work. The first thing we're going to do is tackle these inner rockers, and these things are going to be a true pain. I've looked on the internet to see if I could see any videos, and there's nothing really good showing something that's in this decent shape. I've seen some that are stripped down pretty far, and they're a lot easier to get to, but we're going to try and get these inner rockers replaced. Well, I wanted to show you guys real quick. You know, the hood that popped up on me? Well, I just didn't have the heart to get rid of this. So where is it now? It is permanently affixed to the wall of the barn, where it will remind me forever about that cheap Chinese part. All right, for those of you guys that are wondering, the epoxy that I put on here is Southern Polyurethane. They're black epoxy, and this stuff works really well. Years ago, I painted something really small, and I used some PPG epoxy, and it seemed to gum up on me when I tried to sand it. This stuff sands really well. So the first thing we're going to tackle, but that's going to be on the next episode, is we're going to do the hardest piece, which is going to be the inner rockers. We're going to tackle both of those. We're going to do them one at a time. I'm going to try and leave everything in place except for these inner rockers. There's some pieces that I will have to drill out and try and get out of the way, but I think these outer rockers are enough to support this side. I'll take some measurements to make sure that with the support up top, I think we'll be good. We did receive all of our metal, and it's a lot of metal. So we're going to get all these pieces on that Mustang. It may take me a few episodes to get everything done, but we'll get it done and on its way. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you on another episode of Torqued.